Om Tat Sat. My humble prostrations to the all-pervading Brahman, to my worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayanandaji Maharaj, to Sage Narada, and all other sages and saints, and to each of you divine soul watching today's satsang. So today we will be covering Sutra number 67 from chapter number 4 of the Narada Bhakti Sutras, the glory of one-pointed devotion, and we'll be doing um, discussing part number 2. Commentaries by my Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayanandaji, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. So let's get started. Narada Bhakti Sutras, chapter 4, Sutra number 67, part number 2. Bhakta ekantino mukhyaha. Again, Bhakta ekantino mukhyaha. So this is part 2. Yesterday we had covered the bhakti part in sthai bhava and all the feelings and emotional states we go through to maintain it. And today we will be covering the Prem Ankura. The following 9 are called Prem Ankura. So we will be covering 9 different aspects. Prem Ankura means love, sprout of love, and are indicative of growing prem. Growing prem. Prem is only a very small word in Hindi, but it is like more, you can term it as divine love. So the first state is Kshanti. So these are the states that a devotee will go through as he's becoming more and more stable in establishing his sprout that now he wants to nourish into a tree of divine love. Shanti means forbearance. A devotee develops increasing forbearance in his personality, which means he's more stable. He's not agitated by gain or loss, pleasure or pain, praise or censor. So he is getting away from the waves of the world process, if you will. The second one is called Avyartha Kalatva. Avyartha Kalatva, which means Vyarth means he does not like wasting time at all. The time that passes without the remembrance of God or without the awareness of divine love is a wastage to the devotee. He thinks human body can perish any time. It is so rare, and why are we wasting so much time in gossip, idle wastage of time in so many activities that we do in this worldly process. So he starts to get away from those things. A devotee tries to utilize every moment of his time in maintaining the awareness of his loving relationship with God. So to him it's him and his God, and he gives that the utmost importance. The third one is called Virati. Virati means detachment. So the pleasures of the world fade into insignificance before the bliss of divine love. So he is actually experiencing that, and therefore detachment becomes easier from the world. Therefore, a devotee develops an intense dispassion towards the object of the world. He is no longer interested in them. He uses them as a tool for his objective of divine love. Fourth one is called Mana Shunyata. Which means he does not give too much importance to his mind, freedom from pride. So, pride of the body, pride of the family, race, wealth, various worldly attainments that the world values so much does not touch a devotee, because his ego continues to melt in the sweetness of divine love. So, just like a honeybee is enjoying the nectar and busy making honey, a devotee is busy in God's love. He is not involved in all the idle talk of the world. The fifth one is called Asha Bandha. Asha means hope. So, fixed hope of communing with God. So, he has this feeling that he is going to merge into God and experience that bliss. So, a devotee does not expect anything from the world of the senses. And it's easier said than done, but we have to push ourselves initially, and then it starts to become more natural. But the devotee is really not enjoying the sense objects anymore. For him, God is the only object of supreme expectation. Therefore, his heart is fastened to only one hope, becoming one with the divine self. That's what he enjoys, that's what he anticipates. And the sixth one is called Samut Utkantha, which means it's eager expectation of experiencing divine love. When a person feels that at any moment his beloved will arrive, his heart is filled with a sense of exhilaration and his eyes wistfully gaze at the path the beloved will travel. So, when we care about something for just this human love, imagine how intense that experience of divine love will be. In the same manner, a devotee continues to develop increasing eagerness to be united with God, and that is a huge blessing. That's why Parabhakti is very rare. Most people don't fit into that deep category. They're there at the surface level. They all can pray, they do their mala, they do their japa, but then they are back into the world again and back into that process. Whereas here, the devotee is going deeper and deeper into his divine love and that experience. Although he is also doing his worldly duties very efficiently and effectively, but his inwardly his mind is connected to God. So number 7 is Namasmarana Ruchi, which means Ruchi means liking, something you're liking, and Namsmara means taking God's name. So delighting in remembering God by repeating the divine name. So the japa becomes a source of joy, no longer an exercise to be done, but more like I want to do more of it. Just as a person becomes delighted when he utters or remembers the name of an object of or person he loves, the very name of God becomes a source of immense joy to a devotee. He becomes the most cherished treasure of his heart. That becomes part of his very being. And eighth is Bhagavat Gunakhyan Asakti. Attachment to the glorification of God is the eighth step. So, to a devotee, he enjoys talking about God, sharing the experiences, listening about Him, and all the other worldly talks become meaningless to him. So he is drawn to satsanga. He enjoys good association where sages and saints discourse upon the glories of God. And ninth and the final one is called Leela Bhumi Preeti. Love of places sanctified by divine incarnations, sages, saints, avatars, etc. So he no longer now enjoys going to see the Taj Mahal or the Eiffel Tower or different places that have just worldly significance or are world famous. Rather, his senses, he gets excited by traveling to places where great sages and saints were born, where big scriptures were written, and where memories of great incarnations such as Rama, Krishna, Jesus, other saints and sages such as Tulsidas, Chaitanya, Valmiki, others, he enjoys in finding more about those things. And so when he travels in these sacred places, he finds a great opportunity to associate with sages and saints. So he intensifies his bhakti because he's trying to relate to the sage's life or whatever significant things that were done while the sage was alive in that place. So those become holy shrines, and he visits them to enjoy them more and more. So this is the essence of sutra number 67 that we have covered in two parts. I hope you can see how deep these things are, and if we take one quality at a time and slowly develop it, over time we will become pure devotees. We will have the sthai bhav, we will improve greatly, but this cannot be rushed. It has to come from within. Each pore of the body has to accept it with love, compassion, and with total surrender. This is Swami Nikhilananda. Om Tat Sat.